2 of the War to Rise podcast. Hey, wanted to thank all of you guys for tuning into the first podcast. Got some good feedback, and it's funny because I actually thought that I might get it taken down on the first episode, but hey, so far so good. But happy to be back with episode 2. And I wanted to talk about this idea of balance. So before I got into the coaching space, before I got or decided to actually run this business in coaching, I thought balance was a thing. And so this idea of balance in life is bullshit, guys. Yes, you heard me. I'm saying it, I'm calling it out. Balance is bullshit. And so, Paul, why would you say that? Why do you believe that? Why is this something that you thought you should go live on YouTube or put it into your podcast? Well, here's the thing, guys. I've been chasing balance for years. And it wasn't until this idea of balance being bullshit that I actually grasped the concept. And hold on, I'm just letting my family know I'm doing a podcast right now. But this idea of balance is so heavily promoted on social media. It's like this dream, right? It's like this oasis of, hey, we're gonna put this idea of balance out here in the view, and we're gonna just perpetuate this idea of balance and see if you guys can catch it. And so, like I said, for years and years, when I started my growth journey, when I started to rise as a man, when I decided that I was no longer going to be out of shape, I was no longer going to be this average guy, right? No longer living in the status quo, is when I really started to realize after a few years that balance doesn't exist. Balance in your life, in your marriage, in your finances, all of that doesn't exist. And so, once again, guys, I want to thank you for joining me. I'm trying something new. I'm live streaming to YouTube right now. I'm getting into that space. I think it's awesome. I actually love going live and so recording and posting, but I want to try and do this live for you guys because I definitely want to get some interactions and things like that, and make sure that we are or I am actually handling everything with you guys. So let's get back to this idea of balance. And here's the thing with balance. How I operate my daily life now is not how I always used to operate it, right? So it was kind of like just moving the goalpost a few years ago. So when I started my fitness journey, my hey, I got to lose some weight. I was the heaviest I had ever been. I was the sickest I had ever been. I just like, okay, I got to start working out. So I started that. And then I was like, okay, I got to start figuring out how to eat better. And so what I noticed is I started to get hyper focused on it. And that's where I started getting results, right? I started losing the weight, I started building muscle. And I was so focused on that one thing of this journey of, losing the weight, getting fitter. I got to work out every day. I got to do this. I just got to make time for it. But I didn't really have a plan, right? It was just this idea and then the motivation to go and get healthier, to go and lose the weight. And I remember just being stuck or in this place of just like despair, right? Like if any of you have ever been on a fitness journey, maybe you're starting your fitness journey right now, and like you just get to this place where you're just like, fuck, this sucks. Like, how did I allow myself to get to this place? How did I allow myself to gain this much weight? And the point for me was, I remember, I had to go buy new pairs of jeans because I couldn't fit into my old ones. And then I had this, when I was younger at the fire department, I had this custom tailored suit that I would use for interviews for jobs, and I had to go get the button extended. Like I barely fit in the jacket, but the pants 100% didn't fit, and I had a funeral, I had a family death, and I had to go have a tailor like extend the area that the button goes into, and so that was a really low period for me. That was a time in my life that I was like, this is enough. Like this is ridiculous. Like I'm having a tailor extend my pants because I am incapable of showing up for myself. I am disrespecting myself. And by disrespecting myself, I was disrespecting my body. I was disrespecting my wife. I was disrespecting my kids. I was disrespecting my job. And so that is a good picture that I can paint for you when it comes to this idea of balance. We categorize these things into four domains, something that I call the results for now in my coaching. And it's renew, it's in body, fitness, sleep, nutrition, and then we have realign, which is our spirituality, getting realigned with God and meditation and journaling. And then we have our relationships with my wife, with my kids, with my friends, with my extended family, with business colleagues, with my employees. And then finally, the last domain is revenue. This is where we make our money, whether you're in a business or you have a job. And so, um, at this point, all I had been focused on was that one area, the renew area, my body, my fitness, my nutrition, my sleep, all of that stuff. And so many guys that I talk to that are maybe going to be potential clients of mine, or and women too. They're a little bit fewer than the men, and that's okay. But I gotta tell you, man, you ladies, you guys are savage. Like the ladies that start taking coaching and start getting direction on how to fix their life, like they really, really are good at taking direction, and so better than the men. So guys, you need to step it up. So hey guys, if you're joining me, it's Paul. I'm back with the War to Rise podcast for episode number 2. We are live streaming on YouTube. This is something that I've always been interested in doing. But hey, if you are new to my channel, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Okay. This is something that I'm doing as a passion project of mine. I want to provide more value to you guys. I've already gotten tons of comments. From the channel of just like, hey, Paul, you take real life issues and your approach is so practical and it's really helped me. I got one yesterday from a guy. I was chatting with him and he was telling me hey, I just love that you take these issues. And so I asked him, I said, hey, his name was Bob. I said, hey, Bob, his last name's funny. He's like, this almost sounds fake. I promise you, it's not. It's all right here. Okay. But I was like, man, I really love hearing feedback. And I want to know, what is it that I said or talked about that resonated with you? And he said, well, in my words, you're coaching how to take life, the hard times that come with life, and the challenges that we receive, and you provide that to us in a broken down, practical approach that is motivating to me. And so, guys, that is exactly why I am doing this. This is exactly why I have an Instagram page that I'm frequent on, and all of that stuff is because I want to provide value to you guys. Because when I was talking about that guy that had to have a tailor extend his pants because he was so overweight, I was so fat. Um, it was a struggle. I mean, that's the only way to put it down. It was a struggle. And just that piece alone, this idea of balance, when you are struggling within yourself, because guess what? You can hear the words in your head, right? You could be standing next to your wife and you could be telling yourself some dark, negative stuff in your head, and she would never hear it. You have to live within your mind and body until the day you die. And that is such a big proponent in my program. And it's such a big proponent in my own transformation in my life. And when you are struggling in your mindset and your fitness and your health, it 120% affects every area of your life. And when you can get this concept of balance is bullshit, then you can really start to rise and really start to fine tune those four domains that we talked about, the results for. So that is the thing that has been my catalyst to, getting this information out to you guys. So um when it comes to one area affecting the other three areas, it's what I call the four-dimensional man. And you have to have each of these four domains handled in your life. And so when I first, I just had a client, he just started with me and he was asking this question. He's like, okay, so, I just focus on these four areas. And it's like, yes, you have to focus on each area, but you got to understand they're never going to be equal. Never. No matter if there was no limit, if you did not have a job and you didn't need to go make money and you had more money than you needed to, you got to realize even if you had all the time and money in the world to dedicate to these domains, you still could not make them equal. Like that is such a mental mind fuck for you guys and myself. And here's what I noticed when before I started coaching this program, I saw it in my wife, and my wife is my business partner. We've been together 20 years. She's my best friend. We love working together. We love building this life together. But I saw it in her. So we have two boys. My youngest will be 6 this year, and we run a health and wellness center. And what I noticed with my wife, she's the complete opposite of me. Thank goodness. Like she's not a perfectionist. She's not a control freak. She is a free, fun spirit person. She's a very patient. Um, when she wants to be. But the big thing is this: she is not a task oriented person. For someone like her, she needs structure. She needs boundaries in her life. If she's trying to accomplish something, she will go for it. But what she needs is she needs the guardrails. And there are so many men that I work with and women that I work with that is exactly what they need. They need those guardrails on the path that they're moving forward on. And I saw this in our business. So shortly after our youngest son was born in 2018, or she started to get back in shape and do all that stuff, as many women do after they have a baby. And immediately after her being consistent and her having the discipline and her focusing on that because it was important to her, our our business collections went up, our revenue went up, right? And I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." And then so that lasted for a certain period of time. I don't even remember when. But then when she stopped being consistent, when she stopped focusing on that area, you guys guess what happened? Our numbers dropped. So this idea of having the domain of renew, which is your body, your fitness, your sleep, your nutrition, having that domain of renew being focused on, it was able to go to the domain of revenue, renew and revenue, and you see the increase rise in each domain. But the the contrast is also true when you're not focused on body and you're not focused on renewing your fitness, your energy, your nutrition, your sleep, then our revenue would go down. And I've noticed that in myself, my coaching business as well. It's like when I'm focused on these areas, they will get better. And so like essentially my wife was my first like trial period of my coaching clients of like, no, you got to start implementing these systems and these processes and focus on these areas. And when you do that, then you can start obtaining the results that you want to get when it comes to what you're seeking. And so it it is a mental mindfuck when you first present these concepts to people, and it was for myself too. I was like, oh, so you're telling me if I don't work out, I just eat whatever the hell I want, you're telling me that each domain, subsequent domain, is going to be incorrect, or it's going to be bad. Like, and it is true, because what I found is when I'm not executing in each area, in each of the results for domains, I mentally struggle. I physically struggle. I don't want to work out. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then the income in our business also can fluctuate. So if you're a business owner and you're seeing your numbers, your client numbers, your revenue collected, your take home cash, if it's like a roller coaster, you need to check that domain of renew. What are you doing to renew your body? What are you doing to renew your fitness? What are you doing to renew your nutrition? What are you doing to renew your sleep? And the reason I call it renew is because there are times that you need to reflect and renew that area. So, I have the Aura ring that tracks my sleep, it tracks my fitness, tracks all those things, and so, when I start seeing a certain pattern, like in my sleep, start to go down, it's like, okay, I need to renew and revitalize this area and focus on it. And so, this idea of balance, the reason I say balance is bullshit is because you are never going to have an equal 25% in renew, 25% in realign, 25% in relationships, 25% in revenue. And what I see with men, especially men nowadays, especially fathers and husbands, like guys, let me tell you, it is, if you're a business owner and you're a father and you're a husband, it's extremely difficult. And I know it because I am one. And I know it because I talk to men all the time that are the same thing. And it's harder than ever now, to be in those three categories. It's what I call the trifecta of chaos. And so a lot of times, the majority of the times, here's a scenario that I see play out, and here's what happens. The scenario that plays out is, let's say you have a man who runs a business, and let's say he's been a business owner for 5 years, and his business is doing okay. His business is able to provide his current lifestyle. Um, it's allowing to pay for the vacations, it's allowing to pay for the kids' shoes, it's providing for him and his family. And then he's focused so much on building that business to be able to provide for his family that he forgets to work out. He forgets to renew his body, renew his fitness, his nutrition, his sleep. Because as business owners, that's what we do, right? Like if you quit a corporate 9 to 5 job and you start a business and you put all your time, your energy, your money into that business so that it provides your life for your life. Because when I went into business, when I was like, nope, I'm leaving the fire department, I'm going to go start a business. You know what? I was so hyper focused on that. I was so hyper focused on I have to provide for my family. Because as a man, you are designed by God to be the protector and provider for your family. It's within you, and you cannot change that. I don't care what you're seeing on social media. I don't care what certain people are telling you, or I don't care that they want you to believe that you're a fucking cat. If you were born a man, God put this within you to be a protector, to be a provider. So we go into this mode where all we are doing is we're working, we're doing everything we can to provide for our family, build this business to get the revenue to come in. So you're so focused on that last domain of revenue, you end up letting your body go. And then that's where the dad bod comes in, right? Like you're at the office late hours, you're doing all these things, and you just let it go. You're not worried about, hey, I don't care what I'm eating. I just got to eat something now because I got to get back to work, because work equals money. And that's been ingrained into us. Work equals money, and it equals time. Work equals time, energy, and money, no matter what type of business you're in, right? And so you get to a point to where I got, where I'm at the fucking tailor having them extend my button area because I stopped working on myself. I stopped working on my body. I stopped working on my nutrition. I just ate what I wanted when I felt like it. And it put me in such a deep place. I was like, I got to get out of here. But here's the good news, guys. You can make the decision to go a different direction on a different path that's going to change your life. And that's the good news. And even though I talk about truth and the rawness of life and bring a practical approach, I want you to hear me. You can change. You don't have to feel stuck where you're at. You just have to start. And that is why I'm coaching. That is why I decided to coach, because I coach myself, I coach my kids, I coach my wife, I coach my employees. I have clients that I coach because I'm able to add value, because I went through this myself. And my goal, my mission, my calling is to help the clients that want to hire me get there a lot quicker than I did. I don't want them to take 8 years of trying to figure it out for themselves, this idea of balance that they're just never going to find. It's going to be like a dog chasing its tail. You cannot have balance in all areas of your life. So if we go back to that scenario of that man who is so focused on building his new business, he forgets about his body. Do you think he's forgetting about his relationships? Absolutely. Now his wife's pissed at him. You're never home. You're always at work. You're doing this. You don't have time for the kids. You don't have time for me. That is the trifecta of chaos that I explained. Hey, if you guys are joining me right now, thank you for coming back to the War to Rise podcast. Please subscribe and hit that notification button so that you can get notified when I go live. And please, as always, if you guys get value from this, please like, comment, and share. You never know that what your friends or your family are going through, that this might just reach and speak to them. So I greatly appreciate it, and I look forward to interacting with you in the comments area. So yeah, his wife is going to be frustrated because he's just been working on business. So let's continue this scenario. So he's built a business, it's providing for him and his family. He's at work all the time. It's taking all his time, energy, and money to build this business. And eventually he has the mindset of like, okay, there's going to be a flipping point. There's going to be a time in this space that where I'm not going to have to invest so much time. I'm not going to have to be at work until 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I'm not going to have to work on the weekends. I'm not going to have to take this call while I'm on my family vacation. I'm not going to have to do all these things. Where did you come up with that? Because if you run a business, all of those things are going to happen. And as a businessman that's ran a multi 7-figure business and built that with my wife, with my partner, I can tell you that never stops. You do not punch a clock when you are the primary business owner, not if you want your business to grow. But we have it made up in our heads that we're going to have this shift for us to finally go, oh, I'm going to take a breather. Thank goodness. Now the money's just going to, automatically come in. You make that up in your head. So when that starts to happen, you start letting off the gas. When you let off the gas, your numbers go down and then you go back to work. So it's this perpetuating cycle that you fall into. So let's say that man, let's say he reaches a level he wants to reach. Maybe he's got a few employees, things seem a little more stable. And then let's say he finally gets to that point that I was at where I was like, oh man, I need to start losing weight. So let's say he's put on 20 pounds. So now what he does, he's focusing his time, energy, money on the business, the business, his revenue domain. And then he comes over here to the renewed domain, which is his body and fitness and nutrition. So now he finally feels like, you know what, I need to get back in shape. So now he comes over here and he starts working out. So he's putting all this time and energy and effort into his business. And now he's over here putting it into his body. What's left, guys? We still have the two domains that he's not focusing on. He's not focusing on the relationship with his wife. He's not focusing on his relationship with his kids. He's not focusing on his relationships with his employees. And he's not getting realigned with God, his spirituality. And just so you guys know, like when I talk about God, if you would have told me a year and a half ago that I'd be live streaming on a platform and not only talking about it, but having discussions and posting and publicly doing that, that's been a big shift for me. And so when I mention God, what I'm saying is spirituality. I'm not saying religion, because religion and God are two very different things to me. Spirituality and religion. I believe religion is a business. So, am I a Christian man? Yes, I am. Do I believe in God? Yes, I do. Do I believe in Jesus as our Savior? Yes, I do. But I go about it in a different way. And each of my clients have their own way of them handling their spirituality, which is a great segue to the point of balance. So we have this man, his business is here, and now he's starting to work out and he's starting to focus on his body. He still has not handled those two domains. And his wife was already mad because he was spending so much time on his business that provides for his family. You're never home. And now he adds, going to the gym. His wife's upset. She feels neglected. She feels a lack of security. And so now she's super mad. So now what does that start doing? It starts impacting their marriage. They start fighting more. They start fighting about money more. All the while, she just wants to be seen and she wants to be heard and she wants connection and she wants to have that security. And with women, security is so much more than financial. It really is. Because you have to remember, women are more emotional. And you ladies, it's okay to accept that. This idea that you have to have the same level of emotional stability as a man is completely false. Who says so? God and science. Women have more hormones than men. Men have testosterone. There's a big difference. And we can't put both men and women into a box and expect them to operate in and act the same way. So here's this guy. He's with his wife. I'm making the money. I'm focusing on the business. We're able to go on the vacation, and now I'm just trying to focus on myself and my body. This creates conflict within the marriage. And guys, I don't know if you've looked at the statistics when it comes to marriage and relationships lately, but they're pretty freaking terrible. It's estimated between 47 and 51% of first marriages end in divorce, and second marriages it's like 67%. So this man could be very well moving along the path of divorce because he's not handling these four domains and the results for. So that's the thing, guys. And you're probably still wondering, well, if he just focused on that, Paul, he would have some balance. So what I'm saying here, guys, is balance is bullshit. And the reason I'm saying it is because I live it, I teach it, I coach it, I train it, and so it's never going to be equal. But here's the dichotomy of what I'm saying: you must constantly pursue each area of the results for renew, realign relationships and revenue in order to get closer to balance, with the understanding that you're never going to hit it. There is no finish line. There's none. No finish line whatsoever. But the constant attention to each domain of living a four-dimensional life, and not a three-dimension, two-dimension, or one-dimension, four dimensions, you will get closer to what you're seeking. Guys, I'm giving away some free stuff here. This is the free game. This is some good stuff. This is stuff that I use with my clients. Obviously, we get way more in depth, but the basis is living a four-dimensional life and constantly working on each domain as much as you can, depending on where you're at in life. There's going to be times where you might need to be at your fitness at 50% and then divide everything else among the other three. And then once you get your fitness, guess what? You might need to work on your marriage, just like this scenario that I'm giving you guys. So this guy got his business, starts working out, starts losing weight. His wife's upset. Now he's got to work on his relationships. But he got to this point because he was living a two-dimension, one-dimensional life. He wasn't focusing on all four areas. All the while he has the mindset of, oh, I need work-life balance. Guys, I hear that all the time. When I ask potential clients, what is going on in your life? What are we having this call for? Paul, I just need to find some work-life balance. Work-life balance doesn't exist. Guys, I work 15, 16, 17 hours a day sometimes. The difference is I have a proven system that allows me to do that so that I don't feel burned out, so that my marriage isn't going to shit, so that I'm present for my boys, so that I'm connected with my spirituality and my soul's purpose, and I'm able to bring in the money. Yesterday's a perfect example. Our nanny is on vacation. My youngest son started golf lessons, and I was at the office until after 7 p.m. last night. And I still worked out. And I still meditated. And I still read the Bible. I was able to take my son to golf lessons and be present with him for over an hour. I was able to bring my boys to the office while I was doing some work, and then, just doing what they do at the office, which they do all kinds of sorts of stuff. They're just not on screens all day. And I was able to come home late. And even though I didn't want to work out, I still handled my business as a man. So I hit each domain that I needed to. And you got to do that daily. Today's a little bit different. Today I'm in my home office. Today I had a client not show for a call. Then I'm going to head in the office this afternoon. I'm going to hit all of that. I will come home again and I will work out. I'm focusing on my nutrition, my meal plans, all of that. But it's this mentality of what's being preached to you guys on social media, that there's this work-life balance. It doesn't exist. I may have spent more time at work yesterday than I did on my body, my renew domain. I may have spent more time on those domains than I did with my relationships, but I still hit them. My wife we still laid in bed last night and had a conversation, and we have two rules. when we're in bed. There's only two things that you do in bed, and one of them's not work. You guys should be smart enough to figure that one out. But when you work together and you live together and you're married and you're building this empire, you're trying to build this lasting legacy. You're trying to become the one. That stuff starts to creep into bed. We both did it last night. But we had that guardrail, those boundaries that I was talking about early on. Like, nope, not in bed. My wife was posting in bed last night. I was like, this is not allowed. You cannot be up here while I'm trying to go to sleep posting on social media. Not allowed. So you can see we've had these boundaries established before, but it's the constant focus on each of them and the constant pursuit, the discipline, the consistency to ensure the path that we're walking, this path that we're moving down, the moving closer to what we want to do. And if you're not doing that, you're gonna feel lost. You're going to struggle. You're not going to have the results that you want. There's a reason I call it the results for. Because if you focus on each of these domains in your life every day, even though you're not going to achieve balance, you're going to get results. In some fashion, you're going to get results. It's a proven system. And before I wrap this up, that's what we're going to talk about. You guys, myself included, when I started down this path, when I started that fitness journey as that overweight firefighter, I didn't have a plan. All I knew was I needed to eat better and work out more and sleep more. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan for my marriage. I didn't have a plan for my kids. I didn't have a plan for my job. I wasn't connecting on a spiritual soul level. I just knew I needed to lose weight. So that is where so many people fall into the trap of not hiring a coach, not going to a mastermind, not having mentorship. You leave it all to chance. Just like I did. Just like I went down the road for 8 freaking years to become the man that I am today. Once I decided to hire mentors, join a coaching group, go to masterminds, my results skyrocketed. It flipped the script for me. And I would have you consider that it's going to flip it for you. So, why are you guys hesitant to it? I'm literally doing this podcast right now because I had a client no show. I had someone who reached out to me, said, Paul, I need help. I'm interested in your program. Please help me. I go through, I schedule them. They get the emails, they get the text reminders, they get the verbal and written agreement of, hey, will you show up on this call? Will you be present? Will you have no distractions so that we can focus on you and the pit that you're in that you want to climb out of? And they didn't show up. And that is why this online coaching stuff makes me laugh my ass off. Because now that I'm into it, I can see who the real ones are, not these fake ones. These fake coaches online that, they're fucking sitting on a Lamborghini looking like this and they're, showing all their fancy glamorous stuff. You can have that, sure. But that is a very small fraction of what it is. And guys, that's true in business. Like as a business owner, you're going to eat glass 95% of the time. And that 5%, you're going to achieve some success. But running a business is hard. Being a father is hard. Being a husband that's not heading for divorce is hard. Being connected spiritually is hard. being fit and in shape is hard. It's fucking hard to do all of that. So every day you got to be pursuing the idea of balance, but understanding you'll never get there. There's never going to be a day where you're like, I made it. My body's in the perfect shape. I'm as fit and healthy as I've ever been. And my marriage is on fire. And I'm a present father. And I'm just so connected with God. And I have millions in the bank. It's never going to be equal. And hear me, I'm not saying you can't have all of those things. But the path to get there is focusing on each area. Not equally, just daily. And that is how I've been able to get the success that I've had in my own life and with my clients that I work with. So if you guys just understand that balance is this, pie in the sky type thing, that you're going to keep climbing that ladder to get there, you will get success. But guess what? Once you achieve one thing, you're at the new level. You're at the ground floor. And that could be a whole different podcast, but I'll talk about it right now. This idea of transformation, whether it's in money, fitness, spirituality, relationships, whatever, any area, pick one. You start climbing the ladder, you start focusing on these things daily. And eventually you get to where you were looking to get to, only to step out on the ground floor of the new level. And there's going to be this acclimation process. I'm going through it right now with my business. I've achieved a level of success that I've been searching for, and now I'm on the ground level of the new level. I'm on the foundation of the new level. And within that level, what I'm now looking at, which is something more than I ever considered, there's a space of wisdom that I don't have yet. There's this void of experience I don't have yet. So I'm standing on the ground floor and I'm looking up and I'm going, how do I get up there? What do I got to do to get up there? And I just got to go. And I got to make mistakes and I got to, fail and I got to be frustrated and I got to keep going, but I have to start. Because if I don't, I'm going to just stay at this ground floor. And that's where the growth stops. That's where the transformation doesn't happen. That's where the results don't come in. But understand, if you're in business or if you're in a fitness journey or you're trying to repair your marriage, there's going to be an acclimation process of you eating glass or eating, freaking whatever. Eating glass is what I think Alex Hermosi said, and I love that analogy because that's what it feels like sometimes. There's an acclimation process to growth and transformation. And the reason that a lot of times people don't achieve the area that they're trying to achieve, it's because they stop, because it is hard, because it is difficult, because it is challenging, because there are hurdles, because there are setbacks, because. You only fail if you stop. You only fail if you throw in the white towel and you don't freaking keep moving forward. And when I have people approach me or clients approach me and they're like, Paul, I just want to give up. It's like, you know what? This is my rule. And this is a rule that I hold to myself. If I feel like giving up today, let's say I don't want to eat what my coach has given me to eat. And I just want to say fuck it and give up. My rule is this. I'll give up tomorrow, not today. I will give up tomorrow, not today. And the reason that is such a powerful tool or mentality to have is because of this. When you feel like quitting, when you feel like giving up, the majority of it is emotional. You're deep in the emotional darkness abyss where you feel hopeless. You feel like there's no other option. You feel like you failed. You feel like the only option you have is to stop what you're pursuing. And the majority of the time, it's emotional. So, by me saying I'm giving up tomorrow or I will quit tomorrow, if I feel this way tomorrow, 24 hours from now, then I'll give up. You know what happens? You don't want to give up. You get to tomorrow and you realize that it was an emotional trigger, and you realize you want to keep going, and you realize that was just a hurdle that you had to go through, and now you've experienced it. So when you get to the next hurdle or the next challenge or the next pit you got to crawl out of, you realize that you just have to emotionally get through that. So, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you again for joining me on this podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Please hit that notification bell. Please like, comment, and share. I want to hear from you guys. I want you to tell me what you're struggling with. What is going on? What can I talk to you about? Well, how can I add value? What can I do to help you rise in your life? Because that is my commitment. That is my goal. Because there are so many men that were out there like me. There were so many men that are struggling right now. And I hope that if you land on this page and you watch this video and you hear these things, or maybe you go to Instagram and you start looking at my other videos and looking at my account, I will have you consider that you are here for a reason, that you landed on this page for a reason, you landed on this video for a reason, or you saw that reel for a reason. And when you feel that inside of you, you have a choice. You either start or you don't. You keep living the way you're living. You keep experiencing the things that you're experiencing, and you don't want to continue to experience. And you want more, and you know there's more. But the only way that you get more is by rising and starting something new. And the best way that I've found to do that is to keep going, to have consistency, to focus on discipline. And I have mentors. I have more than 2 coaches right now because it is so crucial to my success. And so many people are fearful of hiring good mentors to help them get to something, to get to the next level. And if you just realize that when you get to the next level, you'll understand it's the best thing you could ever do. And the money that you're fearful of paying won't matter because you'll get it in return on so many levels. So, with that, guys, as always, thank you again for joining the War to Rise podcast. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good one.